Last year, the Tigers had an all-star in Tarik Skubal. They also had a Cy Young winner last year in Tarik Skubal. And guess what? Tarik Skubal is going back to the all-star game, but he is not the only Tiger heading back. There are 3 others going with him. Riley Greene going for a second straight year. Javi Baez making his return. 3rd trip and 3rd at a different position as he goes to the outfield for this one. And then at second base, Gleyber Torres also making another appearance, his first year as a Tiger. When you take into account all of the different factors with this, just when's the last time that you remember seeing a team get represented this well at the All-Star game?
Yeah, it was those 2011 to 2014 like stud Tigers teams where you could make an argument for basically every single player in that lineup and starting rotation. Like the mental image in my head is like that picture with Verlander, Scherzer, Miggy, like all those guys standing in the outfield in their American League jerseys. And it just feels good to be represented as the best team in the league. The Tigers should be represented, and they are. With a 3rd of the starting lineup is going to be Detroit Tigers. Javi Baez, who we were talking about, does he make the team, is now starting in the All-Star game, different position in the All-Star game. Like, that's unbelievable. So I feel like the Tigers are fairly represented. Are there a couple other individuals who maybe had arguments to get on the team? Yes, but you look at the rosters, and every team needs a rep, and it depends on positional needs. So, it's hard to make a lot of arguments, and I feel like the Tigers are fairly represented.
Riley Greene has had a phenomenal stretch right now. And looking at him specifically, because Javi Baez is a great story, Gleyber Torres, a great story too, after a down year with the Yankees last season. But looking at Riley Greene, what he's been able to build on, a couple of days ago, he was at 21 home runs. He's already now at 22. When he had reached that, it was mid-September last season. That shows just how much growth he has had this year. Is he kind of the next big name, do you think, for the Tigers organization?
He's getting there.
With all the big names that they do have on this roster, young names.
He's a budding superstar, It's difficult to see him in that light. He's like a very quiet, reserved guy, and he just kind of goes about his business. But, like, if you look at the numbers over the last 2 seasons, he has the argument. He was a 5-win player last year. That's reserved for, like, the best of the best players. It's not Aaron Judge, but it's a very good guy. And Riley Greene, like you said, over this last month, he's gone from he's probably an all-star to like it was Aaron Judge and then Riley Greene and then who's third was the conversation. So he's absolutely separated himself as the best position player on the best team in the league. And because of that, I think that he's, one of the faces of the game.
At this point in time, he's having a special year. He's one of those homegrown talented players. At what point do you think the Tigers start to consider keeping him around long term?
Hopefully they're already thinking about that.
That's what
As we've seen with Tarik Skubal, the closer a player gets to free agency, the more leverage they have, right? Like,
and the higher they rise in Major League Baseball.
Like, I don't know, it takes 2 to tango, as Scott Harris has said. The player has to want to lock himself up long term. But if Riley Greene is open to any sort of extension, there's absolutely no reason the Tigers shouldn't be looking long term with this guy. He's still young. He's good defensively as well as a good hitter. So it's a guy that, would you like to keep him around for like a 10-year deal? I think you'd happily pay that price. Yeah.
And that's also the big question on the pitching mound too with Tarik Skubal. I mean, the price continues to go up, it seems, with a guy that's putting together another Cy Young caliber season going back to the All-Star game. The question is with Tarik Skubal, he did not start the All-Star game last year. Second half of the year is really when he burst onto the scene, you could say. Do you think he should be the starter? Because we were looking at some of the stats of the other guys, and so many guys are kind of like all over the place. They're top 5. But Skubal probably is the best baseline out of all those starters that made the roster this year.
If you actually watch baseball, there is no doubt in your mind who should be starting this All-Star game. It's Tarik Skubal. He's the best pitcher. Like, we can confidently say he is the best pitcher on the planet, and especially in the American League. Look, like you said, there's 5 or 6 guys who all are very deserving of consideration. And we're a little worried that seeing as Aaron Boone is the manager of the AL, that he'll go with his guy, Max Fried. But if you watch Max Fried starts and you watch Tarik Skubal starts, there's zero comparison in the dominance. And Tarik Skubal has been the best pitcher in the world for 2 years running. And Bruce Bochy looked like a fool for not starting him last year. And I'm a little worried that we're going to get the same thing. Does it really matter? No. Honestly, it'll probably just make him mad and he'll be even better in the second half. But I do want for Tarik Skubal and for the Tigers to have, that starting pitcher on the mound.
And you were saying, what's the most important stat for you?
I mean, I'm a big whip guy.
Yeah.
I get all of the talk about ERA and wins.
Yeah.
And I do
Which
care
he's
about
second in
strikeouts.
both. Yeah, and he's second in strikeouts.
To me, whip is something that over a long period of time, it shows dominance. And the fact that his whip is so much better than everybody else's in the league is it's not just that he's stranding run. He's not allowing base runners. He just straight up is not allowing base runners. So, like you said, he's 1 or 2 in almost every meaningful category. And it's just clear to me that he's the best pitcher in the game.
If we're going off a baseline and different averages of where a certain pitcher is, are you first in this one? Are you fifth in this one? Skubal is hovering at 2 for everything, and that is so hard to do.
Yeah,
especially so hard to do.
He won the Triple Crown last year. He's been doing it for 2 years straight, going on 2 years straight this season. It's just so difficult to be at the top of your game every 5th day, and he just always is. And he deserves to be recognized for that.
And he probably will be. Hopefully, we shall.
Yeah.
But like you said, does it really matter if you start or not?
Matter. Yeah, he's probably.
But for a guy who, as we were talking about, leads so many different statistical categories in baseball, maybe if you're looking for an edge or you need some bulletin board material, maybe this is something he doesn't have to dig too deep for.
Yeah, if the Tigers were playing the Yankees the first series out of the All-Star break, I bet Aaron Boone would start Tarik Skubal in the All-Star game so that he's not pitching angry against the Yankees.
I'm sure he would remember that if they reach an ALCS or ALDS against New York, though.
We'll talk about it.
Well, a long ways to go until there's still much more to come on DSP. The Pistons free agency definitely took a turn for this team, but they still were able to add some key additions in the offseason. We'll dive into that on DSP.